Good morning, everybody. Chris and Tanya here with Clutter Reduction Junk Removal in Southeast Florida. We are picking up some gas real quick because it's super cheap, and we went ahead and got some espressos from the gas station. This actually gives Tanya energy unlike other espressos. So the job we're going to, he found us through next door. We gave an estimate last week. His mom has been out of the house for like a year, but it's just taking them a while to kind of get around to doing things and sorting through it all. So we're really just going to be focusing on the outdoor shed and then just a small little bit of miscellaneous in like one of the like Florida sunrooms. And then I think there's like a little wood closet full of stuff. But we're just bringing the truck with us because we live directly across the street. So it looked like an easy enough thing that even if we have to make 2 trips, it's not a big deal. Unfortunately, it poured out all night. So loud that it woke me up, and I went to go check my phone, and there's a flash flood warning for pretty much my whole county, and it showed that it was gonna be raining pretty much all day today into tomorrow. So I'll show you this really big puddle here at the gas station that we're gonna try to drive around, and that also means that it's gonna be a wet day for junk removal. But the good news is that the house we're going to, because we only have the truck with us, it has a carport, and that outdoor shed is pulled up to the carport. It's like a mobile home. So we'll pretty much be out of the rain for the entire job, except for when we need to make a trip. So we're gonna head over to that job. The guy's not gonna be there. He left us a spare key, and we'll try to stay as dry as possible, and we'll show you what it looks like when we get there. Look at that puddle. Completely under the carport, out of the rain, which is really nice, especially because it's picking up now. You can kind of see it's raining a little harder. And in here, pretty much everything goes except for the shutters. And then we're not taking these 2 wood built-in shelves. And then I already told him that we can take some of the less harmful chemicals, but a lot of them are gonna end up staying here. So he'll get rid of those on his own. So everything on the walls, all the miscellaneous in the middle, which is basically just a trash can and a grill, and then just some miscellaneous. So this should be pretty easy. I think we're taking the table and chairs. I have to confirm. And then we got the spare key. I'll show you what's inside. This is what the floor runner's for. This is specifically for this reason. We keep it in our truck for when we have rainy days. That way you're not tracking water, mud, and dirt into your client's house. We'll also do this if it's a new construction or if it's like a really nice house. And maybe we want to cover like the like edge of a tile or something from cracking with the hand trucks and just walking in general. So this is everything in here that we're taking. Not a lot. I believe the trunk stays. I have to check my estimate notes. I have photos of it and I wrote notes down that says, XYZ stays. I believe the trunk is one of them. So I think everything else here goes. Probably have Tanya work on bagging this and I'll bag the shed. Everything in here stays. They're gonna try to get rid of it on their own and maybe one day we'll come back. So that's it. Let's get started. 2 spots were added. I forgot he texted me these things. So all this goes, which except for the cleaning stuff. And then everything in here goes. And then we just kind of forgot to show you guys this, but this little pile here goes too. So just a couple bags of bedding and miscellaneous. Found me a BB gun. Bam. So if you're friends with me on Facebook, like personal friends, you would see I have a garden at home and we just expanded it. And wouldn't you know, half the stuff here is garden stuff. So you got plant food, you got a soaker hose, sprinkler, the little snippers, the plant food, all that stuff. So keeping a lot of this, and we will put it to good use because you can't do anything else with it. You can't donate stuff, believe it or not. Well, not like that kind of stuff. So we will certainly use it. We're kind of almost done here, honestly. I mean, I mainly just have this pile of leaves here, or branches, but pretty much everything here is done. We'll take out the wood. There's nothing really back there. It's just that stuff. The wood thing stays. Everything up there goes, except for the propane tank, the wood. There's really just like this one thing up here, which, by the way, quick tip. If you are in a house and you're looking at like a tall armoire or like a top shelf in a closet, or you're cleaning out the kitchen and you can't see in the top shelf of the cabinet or on top of an armoire, especially before you go to tip it back so nothing hits you in the face, turn your camera on and use your phone like this to look at stuff. I've been doing this since I was in moving, especially in moving too, because people will put like a china plate on top of like a credenza or something, and we go to tip it sideways to stick on my dolly, and then bam, you get hit in the face with a plate. It doesn't feel good. I've had it happen twice. So I use my phone, turn it on reverse camera like it is right now, and I'll go like this, so that way I can see what's up top of something. I'll do that when I do clean downs and we do kitchen and we clean out the cabinets to make sure I got everything. I'll go up like this and make sure everything's cleared out. So use your phone, it's there for you. You don't have to step up a ladder just to check. Any hoosers, we are working on this. I'm kind of separating like metal, like the tools that are still okay, we'll try to donate. What we usually do is we'll just put them in a big container of like miscellaneous tools, and we'll just post it on Facebook for free and say, hey, come grab them. Just take the whole bucket though. Or we'll put them out at the curb and our neighbors will go through it. But you can't really donate something like this. Like, could you still use this saw? Sure, but it's obviously very rusty. So I can't bring that somewhere because nowhere's gonna sell it. And there's no organizations like if Habitat didn't sell stuff, they just gave it away, they would have a lot of stuff because obviously a lot of the stuff is still usable, but it's not sellable. So we end up just having to scrap a lot of tools because they're primarily metal, but it's because they're rusty, you can't do anything with them. So that's kind of what I'm doing right now, is going through the smaller stuff and sorting through the metal and the tools and what can be given away and what can be scrapped, and then whatever is majority plastic we'll just toss. But that's pretty much what we're doing here, and I think we'll be done here in about 15 minutes. Check it out. That's the high school I graduated from. What a coinkadink. Probably about 50 years prior than me. I graduated 2012. Some of you guys think I'm older than I am. That's rude. But Lakeward Trojans, I know it's an embarrassing name for the logo, but that's the high school I went to. So pretty cool. The truck went ahead and dropped off the metal and a couple bags of trash. We're gonna go back, load everything up. I think I can get it in one trip. We'll leave it wrapped up and we'll just go to the dump after the gym. So here's all the metal. I mean, it's not from this job specifically, it's a couple of jobs. But that's all to the side. We got completely downpoured on last night, so checking my tomato plant. It looked like it was falling over, but I think it probably is falling over a little. The one tomato plant I don't have a little stick with. We're gonna have to go buy another stick. Actually, I just got a couple of sticks. So, like I was saying, that's my little garden. Nothing crazy, I know. Just, you know, we're busy people, you know, trying to do what I can here. And then we got the ones in the front. So, all the metal has been dropped off. And now we're heading back to the house. All right, shed is all done. That is everything. Close all the doors, make sure everything's locked. Yeah, I thought this was just carpet. That's mold. So, not stepping there anymore. Not that we're gonna probably have to. Unless they call us back to get rid of all the furniture. They're gonna try to sell the place with the furniture. And if it doesn't work, then they'll call us back. Hopefully. Actually, I might as well lock that just in case. So, we got those two little closets over here. Those are done. Go ahead and lock up and put the spare key back. Everything Everything in here is done. Shed is done. Boop. That's locked. We're keeping the trunk. My dad used to collect these. He had probably up to like 15 or 16 of them in his house at one point. He used to collect them from garage sales and antiques things, and then he just always hanged on to them. When he moved up to North Carolina, he had to sell like 6 of them. Made a few $1,000s off of them because they're like not cheap. They're like antique ones, but it was hard for him to do that. So this is our last load. Went ahead and swept up to the carport, make it look nice. And I did a kind of a quick sweep in here. Shutters stay, chemical stay, paint stay, and these things stay. So that's a wrap. All right, so before we head into the gym, want to talk real quick about marketing and networking. We've been kind of talking about the last couple of videos, sharing our points of view and kind of what we did and what we learned from. And the reason that we're talking about it so much lately is I feel like everything else is pretty straightforward, but I feel like marketing is something that as you get busier, the longer you're in business, people start to put it on the back burner. And I think that's a big mistake. That's something I've done before in the past and I've learned from it. So kind of want to talk a little bit about building stronger relationships with business professionals, and we're going to use realtors as an example. So I think most people have gone to real estate offices at one point in time and they've marketed them, and they've dropped off bagels, donuts, coffee, fruit baskets, candies, little dishes with their cards in it, or just card flyers, whatever. And you know, you go by 10 offices, and let's just say each office has an average of 10 people in it. That's 100 real estate agents. That's a pretty good probability that a couple of them are going to call you. But as we've gotten more comfortable with realtors over the time, like the last couple of years, and they've become friends, we started to ask them, hey, from your perspective, this is what we kind of do with real estate offices. As a realtor yourself who sits in an office half the time, what's your opinion on that? What would you recommend we do differently? And out of a couple of different realtors who are friends that we've asked, this is roughly on average what the type of response that we got back, which was the problem with doing that is you have to assume that they don't already have a go-to person. In addition, when you bring your cards by, just know you are not the only one doing that. Hundreds of people have gone there before you. What you're hoping is that out of all the other companies, and at that exact time, they happen to need you. Because your card's not gonna sit there for a month. It's not gonna sit there for 2 months. You'll be lucky if it's even there for a couple of weeks. There's a good chance that whatever you brought in, by the time it's all gone, they might keep one card on file, but the rest of them are probably gonna disappear because guess what? In that time period, 10 more companies have come by to do the exact same thing. So there's a good chance that your card may never reach the hands of every other realtor in that branch. So that initially kind of lowered the probability of you even getting a connection in the first place. So what they kind of recommended, and this is what we had already kind of started doing, and this is how we met that person too, is to try to pick out realtors specifically and try to work with them one-on-one. And what that kind of entails is as you meet a realtor through an organic situation, so for example, you meet at a networking event or you meet on a job or somebody you know knows them, you can reach out and say, hey, we do so-and-so, we'd love to chat with you and get to know you a little bit better, see how we can work together in business. Invite them out to breakfast, lunch, dinner, or coffee. And when you go to dinner, because it's a little bit more formal, if they have a spouse, ask to join and make like a double date out of it. I find that it tends to relax the situation and you can get a little bit more personal talking out of it without it seem as forced. So try to connect with them on a more intimate level because that's going to help you stand out versus everybody else. And I personally think you should find quality over quantity. Instead of trying to ask 20 realtors out to breakfast, lunch, or dinner, or coffee, out of the 20, try to find like 5 that when you talk to you feel more relaxed around. You feel like, I get along with you, I could go get a drink with you, hell, I could go bowling with you, and I feel like we would have fun. right? Somebody you would essentially want to be a friend. That's the kind of relationship you kind of want. You still keep things professional, but you want to be able to have that friendship style business relationship with that person, because it's going to help you in the long run, because they're going to want to use you over somebody else, even if they've already used somebody else in the past and had a good experience. It's not to say that every person they meet, it's going to be a bad experience and you're just going to be the shiny light that saves them. That's typically not the case, unless you're in a really shitty service area. I don't know. We're pretty bad here, but I've met very few people that are like, oh yeah, I've used junk removal before and they were terrible. And just had the worst things to say. Usually they get the job done and that was it. You want to kind of be that one outcast that is putting in the work to stay in touch with them. And you do that by first just breaking that barrier and getting to know them on a more personal level. Add them on Facebook after that, talk to them, comment on their posts, become a friend. And then you can share their posts when they have listings to show, hey, I'm supporting you, and then hope that goes both ways. And if it doesn't go both ways, that's fine. That's still a connection. That's still somebody that has a network of their own, that just by affiliation, if something comes up, they could say, oh, we know a great couple that do junk removal, and then they pass our information on. We know a lot of realtors and we do that exact thing, and we've found it to be very helpful. So something to keep in mind. You don't have to go crazy and you don't have to deplete your time by trying to do this with like 100 different people, but try to find the quality ones that you just genuinely like talking to, and then focus on that person. You don't have to go meet with a realtor that you explain your services and they're like, yeah, oh, that's cool, yeah, I mean, that happens all the time, yeah, oh yeah, definitely, we'll push you out. I'm gonna bring your cards back and put them in my office. Sometimes it's genuine, but usually it's not. Try to meet the people. Like, we've met with realtors and they're like, oh, like, what's your pricing look like? Like, I've always used 1-800-GOT-JUNK or something. And I'm like, oh, well, you'd be happy to know our truck's bigger and our prices are cheaper. And they're like, oh, okay, great. And they're like, well, what would you charge for X, Y, Z? And we're like, we give a rough price, and they're like, oh, that seems kind of pricey. If you're used to using 1-800-GOT-JUNK, their trucks are smaller or prices are cheaper. I don't know how else to explain that. Your logic is not adding up here. But if they're kind of like, that's not gonna work, that's not gonna work, that's not gonna work, you probably want to avoid that realtor in general. Realtors sometimes get a bad rep for being cheap because it's affecting their commission and their seller's price. But in most cases, we find that most realtors are all about timing and doing what you say you're gonna do. So I recommend trying to build connections, stick to those people. You can still market to the realtors in general and still go by branches and put your name out there and hope, you catch those 1 or 2 out of 100. But if you can really focus on keeping those few people really close to you and in your personal circle, I think it's going to go much farther. So that's my 2 cents on the subject. Take it with a grain of salt. If you've had different experiences, you've had different experiences. We all have. This is my experience. So we're going to go deadlift. I am weak as hell. I used to be a little better. Now we're weak again, trying to build back into it, but in a way that I don't overdo it with work, because what's the point of that? So I think that's going to be it. We're going to run to the dump after the gym and drop all this stuff off and back, and that'll be it. I sent the invoice over. I think he just opened it recently, so when he gets off of work, I think he's going to call me, take payment over the phone, and that'll be that. So see y'all next time.